Plane from Tirana to Athens, Greece. So we're going to take Sky Express. So you can see that the line for the plane is very messy. But then yeah, we're going to see if this airline is good. So yeah, on the flight, and actually this airline, the ambience is quite good. I think it's not too bad, and also this chair is quite comfortable. Just landed, and then now we're heading to Athens from the Athens International Airport. And the fun fact is that it's actually very fast across the Schengen border in Greece. So yeah, now we're heading to the city center and then do some sightseeing before we go to Santorini tomorrow morning. There's some Greek food like this pasta, and then this skewers, and then this one, which is all in the Balkan countries, but they also have it in Greece. And lastly, Greek coffee. So quite excited to try Greek food because it's quite famous. I have tried it in Canada and in Hong Kong, but now finally trying Greek food in Greece. So yeah. I finished my meal, and then the funny part is that this restaurant gave me a free Greek dessert in the house for free. So yeah, it looks good, and I tried a bit of it, so it tastes really good actually. To the Parthenon, and the interesting part is that it's actually really crowded even though it's not the peak season. The other side of the Acropolis, and it looks like this. So this is a very good angle for taking pictures. The Acropolis is the Pantheon, so it's unfortunately undergoing renovation and restoration, as you can see in the sites over here. But then sometimes when you travel, it's like that. So let's zoom in. Yeah, so we can see that it's undergoing restoration. But I'm still very grateful to actually go to Greece for the first time in my life and see this amazing landmark. Close to the Pantheon. The interesting part is they put fence around it so you can actually go inside, but at the same time it's undergoing big restoration work, as you can see here. So it's a bit unfortunate to see it like this, but I'm still grateful to go here because it's my first time to go to Greece. Yeah, the Pantheon, you can see that people are actually restoring the Pantheon from inside as well. So yeah. In the Pantheon, and then also you cannot enter the Pantheon through this side. So yeah, many tourists just have to take photo from the outside, but then I think this is life because you have to respect the historical sites when they're being under renovation and also restoration. Leave the Acropolis and the Pantheon, we can actually see the very big Greek flagpole. But luckily today there's some wind, so we can see it. Very good city view of Athens. So it's actually from the Pantheon. It's actually a very good viewing spot of the whole city of Athens. What they call the library in Athens. So as you can see, this one is like also similar architecture to the Pantheon and the Acropolis, but then here is not as many tourists compared to over there. Panathenaic Stadium. So this is the site where they host the first Olympic Games, and also this is the site where they had the first and only white marble stadium in the world. So yeah, we're gonna explore it now. Now we're inside the white marble stadium, so it actually has a lot of history. And here is less tourists compared to the Acropolis, so which is quite good. So actually this site was first used to host the first Olympic Games. As you can see, I'm walking right here, and you can see the Olympic sign over there. So it's quite nice. And once you get to the middle, you can see that it's actually just a running track and the stadium and the whole of Greece. So it's actually a very pretty simple stadium, but still worth to go in my opinion, to see this firsthand. Running track in the first stadium that was used to hold the first ever Olympic Games, and it's actually feels quite cool to actually walk on the running track right now and experience what it feels like to be right here in Athens, Greece. At the same time, you can see that it used to be quite small, where they have the long jump and also the other like track and field games. Yeah, so as you can see here, this is like the long jump. You can see the place to jump and also the sand, but then now they covered it, so now it's like very simple. So this stadium is actually quite small because I've been to the one in Beijing like in 2012, and surprisingly the stadium over there is quite big, but then the first stadium that was used to hold the Olympic Games is quite small. So yeah, you can actually walk the whole stadium in maybe 30 minutes. So it's actually quite nice to come here. We're just walking around the track, and the fun fact is that you can actually see some Greek goddess on the running track, but they don't have this in other Olympic stadiums. So I think that it's quite good that they still keep it here in the first stadium that they've hosted the Olympic Games. Grandstand of the first ever Olympic stadium that was used to host the first ever Olympic game. So it actually looks quite cool from the grandstand right here. So I'm right here in the grandstand, and this is the view. Actually amazing that they can hold this stadium for a very long time, since the first Olympic Games was in 1896, and the stadium still looks perfectly fine. As you can see here, this is the podium, and also this is the running track, and also the long jump event, and also the Olympic game logo. So I think it's still in pretty good condition. But then the other Olympic stadiums that are held in the other places, the stadiums are more modern, but then this one is like very historical. First ever podium of the Olympic Games, so it's actually, it looks really cool. That you can see 1, 2, 3, and then the Olympic Games sign and the whole. So luckily today's weather is quite good. When we leave the stadium, we can actually see some signs that remind you that this was the place that they hold the first Olympic Games and who won the first competition. So it's actually quite cool to see this. The final site, which is the Temple of Zeus, you can see right here. So right here is actually very interesting that they charge 20 euros for tourists to enter, but then they're doing a lot of restoration work right now. So I feel like it's a little bit of a daylight robbery and also a little bit of a scam. But at the same time, I think it's still good to see this. Maybe you don't know when will you get the chance to ever come back to Athens or Greece. So yeah, the Temple of Zeus, and then yeah, I think that's it. And it's not as good as the Acropolis of the Olympic Stadium, but I think it's still worth to see this. Very touristic island in it's like in Greece, so it's very fun trip. So yeah, it's going to be like a 40-minute flight from Athens to Santorini. So yeah. In Santorini, and the interesting part is that only like 737 or A320 can fit. So now we're heading to the city center, and we're gonna explore what this island in Greece has to offer. I'm in Santorini, and wow, the water is actually very beautiful, although it's a bit cloudy today. Yep, so we're on the way to the three bells of fire, and then the viewpoint from here is actually quite beautiful. This is the first stop, which is the three bells of Fira, and the interesting part is that it's very cloudy, so it affects the view of the whole area of Santorini. But then even though it's a bit cloudy, it's still very enjoyable to see this view. We started our guided tour in Santorini. I think it's actually very important to actually join the guided tour, because you actually need to see many sites, and to take the taxi to go around is quite expensive. So the best way is the guided tour, and then you can save a lot of money and you can see a lot of sites in one day.
For the day, because without a fantastic driver we cannot do anything in Santorini with a big bus. His name is Christos. Let's say Kalimera Christos.
Tall. Pompeii is only 2,000 years. This city here is 2,000 years older than Pompeii. But Pompeii is famous, why? Because of the bodies. So what do we decide? We decide that if the bodies here,
that we're visiting in this guided tour, so we can see the old houses right here.
When we arrived over there, which is the high wall over there, we decide to start. We have private houses here, so we believe that this is the town hall or the port authority. Is the only archaeologist, the only one on this planet. I know.
Showing a local village in the guided tour, and you can see that you're actually learning about why is it white in color and blue in color dome so many churches in Santorini. The Venetian castles that was made before, and then here is the church, but then this church is quite special because it's actually white dome instead of blue dome like most churches in Santorini. So I think it's quite unique to see this in this local village. Now walking on the streets of this local village, and it's actually very narrow, so it's very interesting that they made it so narrow, but then many tourists are here, so it's actually quite good to see this. End of this local village, and the end is like you can see many houses that have the same architecture, which can only be found in this island of Greece, but then cannot be found in Athens. This village is a little bit touristic. I don't know about the other villages in Santorini, but then I feel like this island has too much value for tourists, but then you really may not feel the true Greek culture, not like in Athens. But yeah. Some like seafood that's famous in Santorini. Right here you can see that this is like fresh from the sea, and they also have a sea view restaurant right here, so it's nice to, you know, sit here and have a meal and enjoy the Black Sea at the same time. So yeah, very cool. Gonna get a meal right now. Okay, now we're trying Greek salad, so it looks really good.
I thought you already took the picture.
Stew and then fried fish with different textures, and then also Greek salad. Yeah, you get. So now it's very good to actually try this food here in Santorini. Yes, before we leave for Athens. No, sorry. Very famous restaurant in Santorini. Now we're in the black sand beach. It's literally really black sand right here. So yeah, it's a very nice view, but unfortunately the weather is quite cold, so can't really swim today. But then it's good to just look at this beach for a while. Top of Santorini, you can see that the island is quite nice, and also the airport is right there. And yeah, this island is quite cute. Now in the top of the mountain, so it's actually quite nice to be on top of Santorini and enjoy this view.
Tiger Mom stuff. I'm like,
Some wine tasting here in Santorini. We have the red wine and the white wine, and they both taste really good.
Nice to start with. Look at this magnificent amber color.
To the main spot in Santorini, Greece, which is 3 domes of Oya. It's very photogenic spot, so it's actually many tourists are lining up just to take photo with this. Side of the island, and then you can see another good view on this part of Oya. So it's nice to see this, although people actually lives here. Santorini trip with a very beautiful sunset in Oya, so I think everyone's here just to watch the sunset. Then after the sunset they'll go back to the hostel, but then I'm heading back to Athens, and then yeah, so it's a very nice trip today. Athens International Airport, and then we're gonna take a flight back to Hong Kong via Sharjah and Kuala Lumpur. So it's very good to finally have the gyros before leaving Greece. So yeah, Hong Kong by Sharjah, you can see Air Arabia, so we're gonna fly like this from Athens to Sharjah, then from Sharjah to Kuala Lumpur, then from Kuala Lumpur back to Hong Kong. So it's going to be a very long flight back home. I'm board Air Arabia flight from Athens to Sharjah, and my first impression is that the chair is actually not that bad. It looks very comfortable, as you can see here, and you can see at the back as well. So it's like, it reminds me of the flight in Pakistan, that the plane has that vibes, but and also the leg space is not bad. So it's not bad for a 5-hour flight from Athens to Sharjah. Then from Sharjah we'll fly to Kuala Lumpur, then Kuala Lumpur to Hong Kong. So yeah, quite excited to see how this journey goes. Yeah, so we finally landed in KL, and now we're having some meal before we board our final flight from KL to Hong Kong and complete this very long flight from Athens to Hong Kong. So yeah, taking a flight to Hong Kong, so it's actually been a very long journey from Athens to Santorini, from Athens to Hong Kong by Sharjah and Kuala Lumpur, but then very glad to finally be going home after this long holiday. So anyway, thank you for watching my videos, and see you in the next one.